Hello everyone, Jewel here. We are getting close to the end of the year and I think to myself, hey, maybe this is the right time to do the best games of all time list for 2022 edition. And for a start, I'll do the tactical RPG games first, because I don't think there's gonna be any more big launch on the genre for this year. So I think it's pretty good genre to start. Some of you might not agree with my list, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, we all have our own opinion. Alright then, let's get started.
You have unleashed something.
King Arthur Knight's Tale is a tactical turn-based game with roguelike elements. This dark fantasy version of the Arthurian mythology invites you to manage a team of heroes on the dangerous battlefield, while also engaging in moral choices, hero management, and the rebuilding of Camelot. The gameplay is just fantastic, especially for someone who loves tactical turn-based games. A little more variety on locations would be appreciated, but aside that, King Arthur Knight's Tale is a grim, compelling take on the legend of Camelot.
Get ready.
Solasta Crown of the Magister is an excellent game for anyone who loves turn-based RPGs or Dungeons & Dragons in general. Gameplay is an isometric, turn-based tactical RPG which closely follows the D&D5e mechanics. Just like the tabletop version, you have your main action, bonus action, and movement per turn, as well as reactions or attacks of opportunities when enemies perform certain actions. It plays out extremely well like the tabletop D&D, and the turn-based system is a huge contributor to the overall sense of capturing the D&D feelings.
Let's call it off. Go.
There is more to Hard West 2 than turn-based tactical combat, but not much more. The primary focus is a series of missions, usually with some choices about which mission to tackle next. In this, you command a party of 4 gunslingers, taking turns to shoot, use supernatural skills, and advance from cover to cover. Thankfully, despite seeming merciless, Hard West 2 has a few features to help maintain balance. The Bravado system makes the combat more dynamic and proactive. Unfortunately, despite the fresh and fun gameplay mechanic, there isn't much of a character progression or variations, which make the RPG aspects pretty shallow in my opinion.
I hear my...
Mutant Year Zero snakes the DNA of tactical turn-based combat from XCOM and then splices it with the stealth and exploration of adventure titles. The combination of adventure, stealth, placing characters in certain spots, height, angles, and skills make it one hell of a game. The enemy AI is rather good actually. They would hunt down your party and properly get into the best positions so that they can have the highest percentage in hitting your characters. Unfortunately, despite the good gameplay, the game is quite short, and it also doesn't have that much replayability.
Got that right.
The gameplay in all the Banner Saga series has only varied a little, and beyond the story-based and strategic decision-making, the majority of your time is spent in a turn-based tactical battle system. Moving around on an isometric grid is reminiscent of everything from Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea, although one of the main differences is that each combatant has a different rating for strength and armor. This means the more injured a character is, the less effective they are at fighting, which is not only more realistic, but creates an interesting tactical dilemma when deciding where to focus your attacks and when to finish someone off, especially considering every character is subject to permadeath. Super Robot Wars 30 is a mecha game in a long-running series that actually have the most ambitious crossover ever created. Just like all previous series, Super Robot Wars 30 comes with a tactical RPG gameplay that, although it looks very simple from the outside, but its appeal lies in a cool attack animation when 2 units collide with each other. Apart from animations that are all cool and feel like watching anime, there are also the best soundtracks from various mecha series that are adapted to units on the battlefield to further strengthen the game atmosphere. Battletech operates on a turn-based combat system where cover and positioning are extremely important. It kind of feels like XCOM, but with more intricate mechanics such as verticality, environmental effects, or sprinting that grants evasion charges. There's also a more strategic layer to each encounter. Before you accept a contract, you can negotiate your price, which comes with a chance to control the amount of salvage you can handpick once the contract is over. The clever thing here is that the spoils are taken from the battlefield, so you need to be careful on how to eliminating your enemies in order to improve your chances of getting make parts or the weapons they were using.
Waiting for orders.
Expeditions Rome is a historical RPG that streamlines elements from games like Total War with its campaign maps and Divinity Original Sin with its tactical turn-based combat and CRPG style. In terms of gameplay as an RPG, this should feel pretty familiar to other games with turn-based combat. Whenever you run into enemies, the game transitions to a turn-based mode where each side plays in a specific order. There are 4 different classes, each with 3 different skill trees that allow them to specialize in specific playstyles and unlock numerous passive perks and combat abilities. There's also plenty of loot to be found, and if you want to get into it, you can also craft your own weapons or modify existing ones to create the improved versions. The basics of Heroes 5 are the same as ever. You must command unique hero characters and their armies to explore maps filled with treasure, hostile enemies, castles, and much more. There are 6 playable factions, each of which will be more or less familiar to Heroes fans. Each faction has its own colorful heroes, creatures, and castle type, and while the underlying gameplay is similar, each one has distinctive differences. The battles take place on a chessboard grid, with armies lining up on either side to take turns. People new to the Heroes universe who enjoy a good strategy game should definitely give this one a try. Symphony of War: The Nephilim Saga meshes both tactical RPG mechanics with complex management systems. All that core gameplay serves to make your army and its journey rather than any single character in it. In building your squads and shaping an overall strategy for your army, Symphony of War feels like a genuinely new angle on the genre, with the only comparable games being the Ogre Battle series. The combat sections of the game are played on a gridded battlefield. Each army takes turns to maneuver their squads around while engaging in conflicts and capturing various objectives. The fighting itself is simulated automatically, so it's important to consider which squads you want to use for any given encounter.
Stay strong, everyone!
Disgaea V has a very good performance that is much better than the previous games, including huge maps, massive characters, and gorgeous combat effects, making it the best in the series. The character progression system has also been completely rebuilt from the ground up. Skills and abilities are now unlocked through a combination of reaching level and weapon proficiency level milestones, and are freely available to all characters through the new subclass system. This allows the player to equip a character with any combination of desired skills and abilities, and brings min-maxing to an entirely new level. Saying Phoenix Point is an XCOM-like might sound a bit retarded. Phoenix Point is much more slower paced in tactical combat, faster paced on the geoscape, and a more grounded and gritty game. As a contribution to the genre that XCOM first defined, I would say this game is pretty solid, especially with more convenient mechanic on the combat aspect. Now you can say goodbye to rage quitting because not hitting a 99% hit percentage. Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate Daemonhunters is not only an engaging turn-based strategy game, but one of the best translations of the 40k universe to the PC. With a great story and wealth of options in combat, Daemonhunters also captures the visual aesthetics of the Space Marines. While XCOM's DNA is all over this game's design, it takes a lot of the best bits from Gear's tactics to give you tools to maximize your damage output and encourage aggression. And don't forget that this game also provides customization options, from weapons, armor, and equipment that include basic items along with unique and empowered artifacts that can help diversify your squad roster and open up new tactical possibilities.
Leave it to me.
Valkyria Chronicles' premise is about an alternate reality where Europa, a fictional continent that represents Europe during World War II, is under attack by the Empire. Here, you play as Claude Wallace. You must venture forth with your teammates to end the war. The seamless transition from the story to gameplay is commendable, as the presentation is top-notch. There are 6 classes of units in this game, and they all have different abilities. Scouts, shock troopers, engineers, lancers, snipers, and grenadiers. Leveling up your troop is much easier than in most games. Instead of requiring you to select an individual unit, here you choose an entire class. Every soldier in that class will level up depending on how many experience points you give to that class. If you like strategy gameplay with anime aesthetics and squad customization, then you should give this game a try.
Did you?
Close. Dan's APC.
Troubleshooter is a turn-based RPG with the story of Albus and the events happening around him. The story begins with Albus becoming an official troubleshooter who then returns to his hometown to begin his journey as he meets new friends along the way. The basic system and interface part of a battle to operate the combat system is similar to XCOM, but it's not as punishing as XCOM, so the game is more forgiving regarding death. On the other hand, core battle mechanic and the growth of characters that affect combat is similar to Final Fantasy Tactics. The game relies heavily on customization. You can customize hundreds of unique character abilities that can give him useful passive skills. You can spend dozens of hours in settings and pumping in an attempt to create the perfect heroes for your playthrough. Wildermyth is a unique fantasy-themed RPG. At Wildermyth's core is a vehicle that lets the player take a group of ordinary folks on a journey to become heroes and over time legends. Players have the ability to create a set of characters based on 3 basic classes: Warrior, Hunter, and Mystic. Each of these can be customized in great detail. Combat occurs in turns on randomly generated square-tile 2.5D maps with a distinctly papercraft look and feel. With roguelike structure, multi-chapter campaigns, and randomly occurring story-rich events, you will have plenty of replayabilities with fresh experience on each playthrough. Battle Brothers is a great game. It's a game that's simple to understand on the base level, but contains an incredible amount of depth. The open world is somewhat similar to Mount and Blade. While you can pause it, the world runs in real time. The combat in Battle Brothers is turn-based. An interesting feature of Battle Brothers is the synergy between your men and the gear they carry. Brothers have various stats such as hit points, resolve, fatigue, and accuracy, but their equipment dictates most of what they can do. Battle Brothers also offers many settings that you can tweak, including difficulty and numerous ways to start the game. You can begin as simple mercenaries, monster hunters, barbarians, or even gladiators. I know it's odd to promote a very old game, but for this list, I will make an exception. Because Final Fantasy Tactics is basically one of the best tactical RPG that ever existed. Your goal is to create a strong team of fighters to defeat the final boss of the game. As you go into combat against a variety of enemies, you will find that the combat style of this game is like chess, where your characters move across a grid-like board, and each character having their move limits. All the units in this game have jobs. Every job has their own abilities, bonuses, and drawbacks. The more jobs levels you gain, the more jobs you unlock. But for that, you must level certain jobs to unlock the new ones. With so much team composition that you can build on this game, it makes the replayability extremely high. Just be careful, cause you will lose track of time real fast. Triangle strategy story presenting a fairly solid drama and political theme that is quite reminiscent of Final Fantasy Tactics. The gameplay is your usual traditional grid-based SRPG. It uses the usual formula of it being turn-based, relying on your character's speed stats. Positioning is extremely important in the battles. You can do critical damage should you attack from behind or if you have the high ground. Furthermore, should you have a unit on the opposite side to surround your foe, you get a double attack. Another attraction that is most attractive to the game is definitely the retro graphics with HD 2D style. The distinctive style brought from Octopath Traveler is presented in a different format because this time the triangle strategy has a more obvious 3D perspective, especially when in battle. Fire Emblem Three Houses is an inspired innovation of a time-tested franchise. Combat is where Fire Emblem Three Houses feels like a classic Fire Emblem game. Many of the turn-based mechanics at play here feel familiar. The general gameplay loop within the school is a fun diversion from the meat of the game. Players can run around exploring the school and everything has a purpose. If you are into narrative or story-driven game, Fire Emblem Three Houses also has a very engaging story. Not to mention there's also multiple endings that will surely add replayability. All in all, if you love tactical RPG and JRPG at the same time, Fire Emblem Three Houses is definitely a must-have. Wasteland 3 does everything you expect from the series, but in a sleeker package. From the freedom in building character abilities, your playstyles, or which ending to strive for, there's plenty that's within your control. Gameplay in Wasteland 3 is a turn-based in a grid area. The player commands up to 6 rangers and non-ranger NPCs in turn-based squad battles. The basic setup is reminiscent of XCOM but with less depth of tactical options. All characters have skills and perks. This can be a bit hard to balance but can open up a whole new world of options when fighting or interacting with other non-player characters. The story is interesting thanks to all of the decisions you get to make, and while your created characters don't add much personality, your companions are chatty enough to make the encounters enjoyable.
Glad to see you back, Rangers. Cleaned up the worst of the mess in your...
We got Advent here.
XCOM 2 taking what was already a great formula and streamlining it in a more convenient way. Many missions now begin with your group concealed, meaning you can move up and surround enemy forces before making a move. However, if you play this game thinking that this will be another Final Fantasy tactic, I'm not gonna be responsible for the safety of your monitor. The AI rarely makes stupid moves and will respond to your mistakes with absolutely brutal efficiency. On top of that, there's a whole base management aspect that allows you to expand your capabilities through research, recruitment, and plenty of other aspects. Hopping between these two modes provides a thoroughly engaging and multifaceted gameplay dynamic that will keep you hooked as you deal with the alien threat as effectively as you can. Pillars of Eternity 2 has you play as the Watcher, the lead character from the previous game who has the ability to speak with the dead. While previous knowledge of the game's past is helpful, you absolutely don't need to have played the original. I know it sucks that you have to play as a specific character, but don't worry, since there's a huge variation in class choice, loadouts, and personality traits. In the latest updates, the game offers 2 combat systems, real-time with pause and turn-based combat. If you love slower and relaxing combat like me, turn-based is definitely the best choice. If you love fantasy RPG with massive world and things to do, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is one of the best games in the market. The plot and main storyline are fairly similar to your standard RPG. However, we are free in choosing the life path of the characters that we play. Instead of always defending the truth, we can actually become part of the evil itself. The option to switch between turn-based and real-time combat also help manage the flow of battle. Of course, the turn-based makes the combat slower, but the extra time allows you to plan out and execute your movements to perfection. Not only that, the game also have a very extensive customization options, making replayability feels like a necessity at this point. What sets Divinity Original Sin 2 apart from other games is its attention to detail, non-linear but well-organized gameplay, and the fact that it's filled with great stories. Combat is your typical turn-based system, but they polish it into perfection. The interaction between your skills and your surroundings adds more tactical depth. There are many game mechanics that you can play through the characters, from their abilities, their equipment, and although it can be difficult to follow, if you try to understand the system, you will be able to get creative in every battle. With non-linear storyline, fantastic combat mechanic, and massive world to explore, Divinity Original Sin 2 is definitely one of the best RPG ever created. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are still other tactical RPG games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your best tactical RPG games that probably deserve a spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss another grad list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!